Welcome to the FanDuel Punch Out. I'm Jason Gilbo, JGilbo11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J. Clay. Taking a look at a 5-game slate here and starts at 7:15 after a pretty whopping big one there early on the day. But you know, we're night guys, we're night owls, so we're talking about the night slate.
Yep. I need a spittoon to make the sound. You know what I'm talking about? But I don't have a spittoon, so I just did really bad acting and spitting. That was even a fake spit. That wasn't even a real spit. So that's how this.
You couldn't fool me. All right.
Anyway, catcher.
Looking at catcher here, and you know, there's no top options. I mean, Posey's up there, but gets Lester in AT&T Park, and you know, I think we're looking at. Luckily, we have Evan Gattis as a catching option. I don't mind him. You know, you're looking at these Houston right-handed bats, and I mean, they're in a good spot against the lefty there. And Gattis, if he's in the lineup, is certainly unplayable for me here.
Definitely Gattis. And we talked about this on DraftKings, but I think Wieters, if he plays 2,700, he's even a better value here. And then Grandal 2,500. They're kind of all in play, not really appealing, but kind of guys you just throw in there, hope they get a hit or two, and hope the rest of the lineup kind of salvages it for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Wieters is a guy you kind of always have to check the lineups on.
Right.
And I'm definitely with those names. I mean, Miguel Montero is not going to be in the lineup since John Lester's there. You can look at David Ross as a punt. I mean, you're punting at catcher today for the most part. I think Gadd is kind of the only guy.
Because obviously you'd want to pay up for Posey, but he's in a tough spot. I mean, it's still in play for contrarian 5-game slate, so you can obviously throw that in, but tough matchup for him. Tough matchup for Ramos. So, I mean, they're in play as contrarian tournament guys, but when you're really trying to build an optimal lineup, which is what our goal should be, you're not just throwing out guys in bad matchups, you know?
Yeah, and that's where I think kind of Wieters and Gattis fit in.
Right.
First base here, and it's kind of a clear-cut number 1, Anthony Rizzo, 4,300, not too shabby of a price tag. Gets Matt Cain, and you're looking at Matt Cain, he's coming off a better start there, but still a larger sample size, 371 WOBA allowed to lefties since 2014. A big 1.42 runs per 9, and Rizzo kind of stands out as really the top option there at first base.
Yeah, I think Matt Cain looked himself in the mirror after we came after him that one day with the Rockies, and he said, you know what? I got to get my act together. And ever since then, he's been pretty decent. So we're still coming after him again today, but not with the full force. Just like, all right, Matt, let's just give it up.
Rizzo, I mean, is Rizzo a one-off guy for you, regardless of even if you fit any Cubs in your lineup?
Yeah, definitely. He's the clear-cut guy. I mean, Chris Davis is there for upside. I think they have actually pretty similar upside if things go well and they both hit their ceiling. But yeah, if you're looking for floor, ceiling, and pretty much everything, I think Rizzo's the clear-cut guy.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And Schumacher there, 1.29 home runs per 9 to lefties since 2014. So I definitely like the Chris Davis call. And I really think just because the other guys are so priced, around him, like talking about Pujols and Bohr and all those guys, it just seems safe to kind of pay up for Rizzo or Davis. But
yeah, again,
if you want to be different, I mean, Pujols was a name we tossed out.
Again, they're pretty much everyone is a contrarian tournament idea in a 5-game slate. But yeah, if we're being honest, Davis is the play there, Yeah,
definitely. I think that's kind of the pivot move. Really value-wise, I mean, there's not a letdown there. Tyler White would probably be the only other name I'll mention. Just 2,600, gets a lefty there in Houston. So going to have that matchup. I think he'd be a guy who you can spin down to if you want to be a little bit different in GPPs.
Yeah, and again, Prince sitting there. Don't do it, but I might do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to advise that, but I'm probably going to make one with him. So I think the Rangers are in play in terms of stacking, so I might make one with him in it. So that's what I'm looking at there.
Yeah. Second base, I mean, this is kind of a tough one because some of these guys had deeper value on DK, but not so much here on FanDuel. I mean, you were looking at Dietrich as being one of the top value guys, same with Odor there, and now they're kind of priced up, and it's like, okay, this might be a spot I really want to pay down for, but there's not a lot of guys to like. Jonathan Scope is probably the only one, 2,900, that can really get behind down low.
Something I do like about FanDuel, though, Altuve is much closer to Murphy, so that makes it a lot easier just to flip onto Altuve instead of sort of looking at Murphy in a bad matchup.
Yeah, definitely. I think Odor is kind of intriguing at 36. I mean, that's $1,000 cheaper. It just kind of Zobrist if you're stacking Cubs, but I think Altuve and Odor are kind of the general options that you want to shoot for there.
Yep, that's definitely what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I mean, guys like Utley, I mean, you want them to be a little bit cheaper, but they're not necessarily there. I don't mind Utley, though. I mean, he's been hitting the ball well, kind of a consistent cash game guy.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's necessarily bad, but outside of that, I mean, maybe you find a guy, maybe we talked about someone opening up, and maybe a guy like Tommy La Stella slips into the lineup at 2,500. You know, you can find a deeper value play when lineups come out.
Definitely.
So, third base here, and a little less cluttered up top now. Chris Bryant, 4,200, gets an excellent matchup against Matt Cain there, and I think your Bryant and Rizzo kind of stand out at the corners as far as the bats you kind of want to attack.
Yeah, I think site agnostic, you're kind of looking at those guys either way at those positions. So, and obviously he's outfield eligible at on DraftKings, but here I think you've really got to take a hard look at him before you even try to pay down. Unless I mean Beltre, I'm okay with that with a Ranger stack and as a one-off, but again, Bryant's the play here.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I mean, really, there's not a lot to like lower. I mean, Justin Turner continues if he hits in the top of the lineup again, 2,300. I think you still are punting somewhere. I don't necessarily hate the idea here because I mean we were talking on DK and Beltre is 3,500. He kind of makes it easy for you that you don't have to go all the way down.
Right, and I mean Colin Moran's been getting at bats, but I don't know how reliable that is. Even at 2,200, you kind of want a good shot at something, you know. So if he's in a lineup, that's a cheap salary relief, but not optimal.
Yeah. And shortstop here, I think Machado there at 3,700 is much more reasonable just because of kind of his late struggles. But overall, I mean, this guy hammers right-handed pitching, and Schumacher's a guy who throws up the long ball, 1.41 home runs per 9 to right-handers. And Machado at shortstop kind of an easy guy to build around as well.
I think that one's pretty easy. Yeah. Unless you're doing a Houston stack, I don't really see how you can get away from that, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, Correa is kind of the only other option up top. I mean, Addison Russell's another name we like. We just don't like that points per dollar value at 3,500. It's just
right.
I wish he was sitting about that 28, 27 range here.
Right.
So, I mean, if you want to look lower, I think Alexi Ramirez, 2,500. Getting a lefty Alex Wood would be something to consider if you needed to save some cash. So, moving on to outfield, and I mean, paying up for wise, it would be obviously Mike Trout against Gossman. You're just looking, he has monster upside, but price considered, it's a little tougher to get him in your lineup without punting 2 to 3 spots.
Right, and we talked about before the show what salary looks like with one of those top guys, and you're really looking at sort of $3K left for your lineup with Lester Fernandez. So really paying up for a Trout would probably be pretty tough. That's why you look at Machado at 3,700. That's doable. Trout would be pretty tough with sort of the high-end pitcher options.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if you want to get a top-tier type outfield, George Springer for 1,000 cheaper kind of works into that play there, getting a lefty. I mean, I really like him a lot tonight.
Trumbo
as well. I mean, yeah. I mean, you can get some big power bats, and one guy who's kind of interesting is Cole Calhoun, who's really heated up of late. 3,500 seems like a nice mid-tier price tag for him.
Yeah, I know, that's fair. And my phone's going off, but that's fine. I mean, chaos is where I live, right?
That's the area code.
I don't know. I don't know what that means. Stanton 3,700. It's pretty wild.
It keeps dropping, but
it keeps dropping, and deservedly so. I might give that a whirl. 3,700 for Stanton, but Again, yeah, Cole Calhoun, probably the better process play at this point.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, once again, I think I like this tier here: Shin-Soo Choo, Jason Hayward, Adam Jones. You can sit in that kind of 33 to 31 range and kind of build your outfield right around there.
Shin-Soo Choo, Shin-Soo Choo, Shin-Soo Choo.
Anyone else you're looking at lower?
Not really. I think. I mean, I'm okay with Jason Worth. Not really though. It's kind of tough to look lower, honestly. I think outfield's the one spot that you kind of want to look at that 3K range as sort of where you're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Dodgers fan, you bank on them turning it around. Carl Crawford, Yasiel Puig, 2,200. Against Vargas there. I mean, they've been bad, but it's still a value play. And if Puig's hitting sixth again, I definitely can see him using him as a punt outfielder spot. So that's going to wrap things up here with the FanDuel Punch Out. Be sure to check out DailyFantasyCafe.com for all great tools and content.